Strive305 High School Economic Fellowship Podcast. Today I'm here with someone super special, the president of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Eric Knowles. Thank you for joining us today, sir.
Hey, John, I'm excited to be here with you.
Sounds good, sir. So we have our high school fellows watching. We have community leaders and educators. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the Chamber of Commerce, the work you guys do there, and how youth can get involved.
Okay.
My first question is, when people hear Chamber of Commerce, they often think networking events, ribbon cuttings, and all of the sort, right? Mm-hmm. But at its core, what role does the Chamber actually play in shaping Miami-Dade's economy?
Well, our main focus is supporting, building, and as I always say, connecting the dots for small business. Small business is the lifeblood of many economies, not just here in Miami-Dade County, but the state of Florida, throughout the U.S.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you for the work that you're doing.
Absolutely.
Our next question would be, what advice do you have for high school students who want to be future entrepreneurs in the future?
Well, I would say find a mentor. Find if there's something in particular that you're interested in or have a desire to learn more about, or it's something you're trying to figure out what you want to do. And if it's a thing that you're figuring out what you want to do, go to several of those businesses, people in your family that you may know that are in business, or a family friend that is in business. And it may not even be something that you want to do, but talk about business. What does it mean to be in business? And I always talk about having the back of your house together. So what does that mean?
Right.
You could be great at being a chef. You could be great at being a landscaper. You could be great at being a fashion designer. But do you know how to run the business? The back of the house.
Right.
How do you form your proper business, having your proper business license? Having an accountant, having a CPA, having a marketing team, having a PR team. So it's having all of those things in place. And I'll give you an example of why that's important. We were talking before you came on. You're in the 9th grade now.
Right.
So the pandemic happened in 20.
Yeah, I was in 3rd grade.
So, okay, here you are.
Yeah.
Okay, so think about that. You were in the 3rd grade, right? And obviously, you remember the pandemic, but do you know what PPP was?
No.
PPP was the monies that came down from the government that helped businesses stay open.
Right.
And so if you didn't have the back of your house together, you couldn't access any of the PPP money, or the EIDL money, because you didn't have the proper license. So it's important. When you start a business, you have to have a state license. You have to have a county license. And if you live in a municipality is a city. Because like Miami-Dade County, there are 34 municipalities. And so if your business is in, say, Miami Gardens, you have to have a license for Miami Gardens. So again, when the PPP, when that money came down, the county got money, the cities got money, and they help businesses stay open. But if you didn't have your license up to date, you weren't able to get any money.
Wow. Super insightful.
Yeah.
So not only know how to run the business,
Right.
but know how to have your skill in order, right?
Exactly.
So Miami-Dade is growing fast, right? Population, development, and global attention. What parts of our economic infrastructure are strong right now, and where do you think we're still fragile?
Well, obviously, I think probably two areas where we have strength, and that is we are a financial hub for South America. We're a financial hub for the Caribbean and here in South Florida. So we're very strong from a financial perspective, banks, foreign banks, et cetera. The other area I would say is in construction. Everywhere you go, you see cranes, as they call them. What do they call the cranes? The birds in the sky or whatever. There's a name for it.
Right.
I'm forgetting.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
The highways and byways, yeah.
Yeah, you see cranes. You see when you drive along 95, you see up in the Cloverleaf, the Golden Glades area, all that construction that is happening there. You see it on 395, the construction going over to Miami Beach. So from a construction perspective, we're very strong. Housing. One of the things that we lack is affordable housing. So that's one of the challenges. Another challenge we have is our income keeping up with affordability. And the other challenge I would say is education. There's a lot of companies, a lot of people are moving down from the north, and they don't see our education system adequate. And so that's one of the challenges we have for our growing community.
Right. And to piggyback off of that, when you talked about affordable housing, a lot of our viewers are high school students who are immigrants, first-generation immigrants with their parents. What is your stance on gentrification as it concerns housing, and how do we mitigate that? Yeah,
there's one thing. I have an interesting take on gentrification. And the reason I say I have an interesting take on it, I use this example, a couple of examples. As I mentioned, our office is on 63rd and 15th. On 12th Avenue, there was a wall back in the 50s and 60s that blacks could not cross going towards I-95. We were relegated to being behind that wall. And what happened, and we were in Overtown, and we were in Coconut Grove. But then, like, my grandmother back in the 60s bought a house on the other side of that wall. So, and that community basically became a black community. And what they called the other side of gentrification is white flight.
Right.
Okay? And then white flight also developed or brought about the mall system, the malls away from downtown. And the downtowns, we lost a lot of our businesses in downtown because the businesses moved out to the malls. So there was a white flight. Again, gentrification. So to me, it's kind of a reverse gentrification from that perspective. And now what's happening is in those neighborhoods where, like I said, my grandmother bought her house on 53rd and 5th Avenue, and what's happening in Liberty Square, they're coming back into the community. A lot of, I would say, Hispanic families are moving into the communities that we have left, because even in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, a lot of the black, say, for instance, I graduated from Edison in 73. Did I move back into the community? No, I moved out into unincorporated Dade, and now people are moving back into the communities. And so then when I go back talking about gentrification, the area that I see that is being impacted is Coconut Grove. And Coconut Grove, we know, is really the epicenter of Miami, right, where Miami grew from,
right,
and where the Bahamian diaspora basically settled and built Miami. We know that there were, 162 men who signed for the incorporation of Miami because they didn't have enough white men to have the right numbers to incorporate. So they enlisted 162 black men to sign the incorporation papers. Wow. And now we're in Coconut Grove. And now if you go into Coconut Grove, you see that's true gentrification, if there ever was true gentrification.
Really?
And it's sad in a sense, because when someone comes and tells you, I'm going to give you $1 million for a lot that's, let's say, 30 by 70, and I'm giving you $1 million, and then they're going to build a little mini, it's not even a mansion, as they say, matchbox, some people call them, and you're going to build this matchbox on there and sell it for $2 million. So gentrification definitely is happening in Coconut Grove, and it's sad, actually, because it's a historical community. And even in Overtown, you see gentrification, because we were relegated to only being in Overtown.
Right. These insights are going to be super insightful as we teach our fellows. Our project director, Santiago, always has a interesting perspective to offer on this. So we're going to steal some of your lines and teach our fellows. So we talk a lot about the jobs of the future, right? Many students don't see a clear bridge from school to opportunity. From your perspective, what skills or mindsets are most missing, not on resumes, but in readiness?
I think, it's a personable skill. You have to have personality. It's not just it's not always what what's up here. It's how you communicate. Communication is important. How you engage with people, and understanding that there is a large world out here, and you have to be flexible, and you have to be able to, as I say, you have to be a chameleon. And you have to know how to move from one community to another. You can't just stay in a silo.
In a color,
Yeah, you can't just stay in the silo. If you're black, you just can't stay in the black community. If you're white, you can't just stay in the white community. If you're Hispanic, you just can't stay, or Latin, you can't just stay in that community. In particular, if we keep talking about Miami becoming a world-class city. So those are things I would say you need to create that. We were talking about golf,
Yeah.
So how does golf play into a business?
Right.
Okay, so it's
brokering deals.
It's being multifaceted.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think what's important also, and I really instill in people, is not to, again, be focused on one thing. Be multifaceted. When I say that, I'm the president of the Miami-Dade Chamber. I've been doing that for 11 years. I worked for the Miami Dolphins for 15 years in several different capacities. Operations, I ran the stadium, guest services. I always say I took care of the cold hot dogs and the warm beer complaints. Also government and community affairs.
Right.
But now as the president of the Chamber, I'm also an actor, and I'm a model, and I teach yoga. So it's having that mix of personalities, the mix of expertise, mix of multifaceted, areas that you can glean from.
I also want to challenge that. A lot of times we have students that come to us, this 7-page resume, whatever, and they're a jack of all trades. And during an interview, I was able to sit in on for a member who was coming into our executive committee. One of the interviewers on the panel said, "You're a jack of all trades, but you're a master of none." What is your perspective on that quote?
Well, but do you really glean? Do you focus? Do you have the expertise or the specializations in those areas? Like I said, I have several commercials running on TV. I teach yoga, and I run the chamber. So I have several interests that I focus on. So it's about being focused. You look at folks who have numerous talents. It's you can't get stuck on what someone else thinks about you, as long as you know what you're doing and being good at what you do. Don't play at it. Be for real about what you're doing. It's nice to say I do this, this, and this, but if you're not, honing those skills to be able to share those or impart them on others, then it's jack of all trades, master of none. It's kind of real.
Right.
But again, I think we're multifaceted, and not that I think we are. How many of us, as adults, when we were children, started playing an instrument?
Right.
When you were, say, in the 3rd grade, you might have picked up, the drumsticks and start hitting on the drum pad, and you learn how to play the drums. But then you stopped because of whatever. I played the piano, but I stopped because I wanted to play football, and I was like, I want to play football. And my dad said, well, if he doesn't want to play, I wish they would have made me play, because I bang around with the piano now.
Right.
But my point is, you have the ability to do more than one thing. So,
yeah, thank you for that. So, of course, every leader eventually faces moments where consensus is impossible and criticism is loud. How do you personally decide when to listen, when to adjust, and when to stand firm?
You got to always listen. You always have to listen. Not that the person is imparting information that you feel pertinent to a decision, but even if it's not, it is, because it reinforces your thoughts. And I believe in one thing about being a leader is let people do what it is that you hired them for, not to do the work for them. Why are you coming to me asking me what I think about you should be coming to me telling me this is what I think we should be doing.
Wow.
Not what you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't come to me asking what do you no. Come to me saying, boss, this is what I think. This is why I think this, and then we'll sit down and chop it up, as they say. And if you're right, but then I'm gonna have my perspective on it, and at the end of the day, I have to make the final decision.
Right. I hired you to
do the job. That's why I hired. That's why I'm paying you. I'm not paying you to come to me and for me to figure out what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Quote of the day. I'm gonna share that with my team. If a 16 or 17-year-old listening to this wants to be a part of shaping an economy one day, not just working in it, what is the first shift in thinking that they need to make?
Nothing is too. That's not my job. Learn anything and everything. I'll give you an example. A nephew came to me, "Okay, Eric, they want me to sweep the floor." Sweep the damn floor. How are you going to become a manager? We all want to be in charge. We all want to run things. But how are you going to run something if you don't know what the outcome of doing something is? Sweep the floor, mop the floor, wash the dishes, dry the dishes. If you don't do that, how are you going to know if somebody did it right?
Right.
Sweeping the floor, it means, getting in the corners.
Right.
I think I was a Boy Scout and I was in the Army. And I think not just that, my parents also. You first learn from your parents, and hopefully your parents show you and guide you the right way. And if they don't, your teachers, hopefully they try to help shape you and guide you as well. But nothing is too, me as the boss, I'll move a table, lift a chair, paint a wall. Nothing's too big for me.
Right.
So as someone learning and becoming and growing and going out into the workforce, be everything that you can possibly be. Don't be a know-it-all. Nobody likes a know-it-all.
Right.
Okay? But be someone who wants to absorb, who wants to learn.
Sponge.
Exactly.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, I saw a quote yesterday that said, you can accomplish anything in the world as long as you don't care who gets the credit. Absolutely.
I'm not worried about, not worried about getting the credit. My job is to make sure that the chamber is successful. And it's not about, I said I'm the head bottle washer. Everybody else does the work, I'm not the one. I'm the one that helps direct the direction.
Yeah.
And again, to me, a young person who is trying to matriculate through life, in particular stepping into the arena, work arena, it's about being and doing, be an asset.
Right. Thank you for that. When people look at the Chamber of Commerce years from now, what do you want them to say that the Chamber of Commerce helped build during your leadership?
Build a community. Like our mission is to provide economic and social transformation in our community. So it's providing economic and social transformation. It's getting, it's hard for me what I'm getting ready to say. It's getting people off sitting on corners and providing resources for them. It's providing opportunities, and that's what we do.
Right. And then with Virtuta and Populo, of course, my nonprofit that's running the Strive305 Fellowship, thing we try to do is teach students to be civically engaged, right? I feel like politics is something we miss, kid or adult, right? I'm not sure if you're familiar with Councilwoman Linda Julian.
Oh, absolutely.
She knocked on my parents' door when I was 7 years old. That was the first knock we've ever gotten from an elected official. My mom told me that politics works around us, not for us. I was able to intern with her, and then my mom was able to see the impact. Do you believe that a strong economy can exist without a civically informed population? Or are those two things separable or inseparable?
No, they're inseparable. And even from a business perspective, business and government work hand in hand. And when you talk about Strive305, that's what Strive305 is all about. It's when Mayor Cava created and developed Strive305, it's about creating synergies for businesses to grow. So business and government, they have a symbiotic relationship.
Absolutely. As we close off today's session, I want you to be able to offer to our high school viewers a word of advice that's universal that they can take as they matriculate on through their career.
I kind of go about things very, how would I put it? I try to use analogies. Like, get up and do your push-ups. Make up your bed. It starts with the basics. Really, that's where everything starts, with the basics. Brush your teeth, do those things that you don't necessarily want to do. Help your mother, help your father, help your grandmother, help your little brother, help your little sister, your nephew, your nieces, your cousins. Right. It's about, if you can start now in high school, middle school, helping someone else, that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, it's not about you. It's about what you can help, how you can bring support to someone else, and that grows when you get older. As you said, if you decide to become a civic-minded person, get into politics, get into community work, then it's not all about politics. You can work for a nonprofit helping the community. So if anything, I would say, again, something as simple, do your push-ups.
So with that, what would you have told, if you were to see your 17-year-old self again, what would you have told that Mr. Knowles?
Oh gosh, for one, save your money. don't spend it on everything you see or you think you like. Floss, because you want your teeth when you're 70 years old. Like I say, I kind of look at things kind of basic. I was in the Army when I was 17. I got out when I was 20.
Oh, wow.
And I would just tell myself to listen to my elders. They went through those things that we think, we know everything, and we don't know anything. And so I would say, listen, and find a mentor. Find someone find someone that you aspire to be, and really work with that person. Start as young as you can.
Insightful. What stands out to me from this conversation is that economies don't grow by accident. They grow because people choose to collaborate, to plan long-term, and to invest in others before the results are visible. Mr. Knowles, thank you for not just talking about leadership, but modeling what it looks like when responsibility meets vision. That has been the Strive305 podcast. Stay curious and stay disciplined.